Peter, there are no updates.
But it was just a simple question about asking.
No, but I'm asking, it's the same answer. There are no updates.
But that's not a yes or no to a yes or no question. Have we asked for, the council member to share the agreements that she has? I think two, one a restrictive
Upon
operation.
completion, we will certainly have that, and we will talk about it in a future meeting. But right now, there are no updates.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is
Chair Wedderburn, looking back through old email exchanges with the committee, there are still, I should say, outstanding requests for additional training. It's my understanding that Borough Hall finally has a new land use director. And with the committee's permission, the district office can reach out to them.
Thank you, Julia. We'll discuss that upon Michelle's return to the office.
Okie dokie.
Thank you. And the other person who normally would be attending this meeting would be Chair Weatherspoon, and she's not here. So beyond that, it's sort of a 3-cycle discussion about these matters.
And we're still at 13, so we still don't have a quorum.
Isn't that interesting? How rare is that? I guess it's because it's a lovely day and people have other things to attend to. I hesitate to start simply because we don't have enough people here that need the information for us to vote.
Can I take a roll just in case I'm missing anybody?
Absolutely.
Okay. Pierre Albert. Albert Appleton. Lisa Atkinson. Princess Ben James. Robert Callahan.
I'm here.
Janet Collins. Nora Daniel. Najani Grenville. Kathy Islin here. Jennifer Jordan.
Here.
Oh, Jennifer. Hello. Zarima Jordan.
Here.
Okay. Peter Crashus.
Here.
Ayakul is excused. Nix Lamel.
Here.
Francis Langley.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sarah Lazore. Muriel Lemaine. Quasi Mensa.
Here.
Fior Ortiz. Joyner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Robert Puka. Jack Robinson.
Here.
Kim Robinson.
Kim Robinson's here.
Thank you. Celine Rosado. Adam Sachs. Greg Todd. Ethel Tyus. Gib Viconi. Chair Weatherspoon is not here. Sharon Wedderburn.
Here. And
Lane Weinstein.
Present.
Deborah Young.
Here.
And Kathy, mark Chair Weatherspoon as an excuse because I knew about her absence prior to the meeting.
Okay. We still do not have a quorum.
All right. How many people short are we of the quorum?
16 we need 2 more.
Okay.
We're 31 members. We need 50%.
Okay.
Sarah just joined, so we're up to needing 1 more person.
Okay. Sarah, you didn't quite put us over the top.
No.
I apologize.
So does that mean you're going to go out and come back later?
Never.
All right. Kim?
Yes, I just want to say I'm actually leaving the office. I'm gonna get on the train in case we get this. I'm gonna jump back in. I'm just leaving Manhattan now, but I'm
Okay.
listening in case we get disconnected. I'll be jumping right back on.
All
I'm
right.
2 minutes away.
Thank you, Kim.
And it's 6:25, just to note that.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the fairest of things is 5 minutes, and I knew. Hold on one second. Forgive me, guys. I have a real. I didn't think you guys need to hear me cough and bark. Um, are the representatives for 1436 and 1440 Pacific Street present?
Yes, we are.
Can you
Wait.
remind me of your date for LPC?
We're not yet on the calendar.
Okay, thank you. For 280 Sterling Street, are the representatives available?
Yes, we're here.
Okay, and you have a date, correct?
No, we do not have a calendar date for landmarks yet.
Okay, so what I may suggest is that making the present, if we don't reach our quorum within the next, I think it's reasonable to say 6:30, that for informational purposes, that you make a presentation and then we invite you back for the next meeting. Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. So let's see if someone comes in the next 4 minutes. Or, during the course of your presentation, they may the necessary person may come in. So thank you. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Because I know we all have other places that we'd rather be at this moment.
Not us. This is it.
This is the place?
This is it. Cinco de Mayo right here.
Well, it's funny because last year Cinco de Mayo was on Tuesday, and I was like, no fear, Cinco de Mayo's on Taco Tuesday, okay? And we're in COVID lockdown. That is just not fair.
You know, it was a shame last year too on Taco Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, as we had rain.
Oh
So
yeah,
that
that's
was
even worse. Yeah.
that's it. This year we have nice weather.
Chair Wedderburn, the Kim Robinson's hand is raised, but was that her before saying she
That
was
was
getting?
that was her
Fine.
before, and I can't lower her hand.
And Lisa
Oh, Lisa
Atkinson.
is here. Okay, we now have quorum. Lisa, do you have something to say? Because you're waving too, like I'm here.
I was saying I was here. That's it.
Okay.
Because you was talking. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay.
We're at 16 now.
Okay, sounds good. So for the representatives for 1436, 1440 Pacific Street, would you like to begin your presentation?
Yes, would. Hello, ladies and
And can you-
gentlemen. Hi, my name is Matt Markowitz. I'm the architect, and I'm here on behalf of the owners at 1436 and 1440 Pacific Street. We're presenting before you the replacement of windows. Unfortunately, some of this was done prior to Landmark's approvals, and we're now seeking the proper approval for aluminum windows with the proper divided lights above 9/1 on both of these properties. I don't know if there's a presentation that can be uploaded that you're looking at, but we submitted it. There are some
Okay.
drawings, and I don't know how to control that or submit a way to show that to you.
If you have it on your laptop, you can share your screen. Julia, you'll facilitate that to give him the opportunity?
I use a
I'm working-
Mac, so I'm unable to share the screen.
Oh, I forget about that.
Anyone that has a PC that was able to download the presentation can work with Mr. Liedman and Mr. Popkin to share their screen for the presentation.
Does it have to be a PC, Julia?
I have yet to figure out how to share the screen using a Mac. I know that Apple products and WebEx are not very compatible. I'm sure there's a way, but I'm not technologically advanced enough to know that way and be able to navigate it at this time. So anyone
I think I have the folks. I have the presentation downloaded, and I also have a PC, so I can share my screen if that's okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I was just about to, but please do.
Okay, yes, that's our presentation. This is just a cover page. These are the two buildings. There are two of three. There's a trio of buildings that are almost identical. The only difference is the center building has a little bit more detailing around the entrance and the arches over the windows. So 1432, 1436, 1440 were all constructed at the same time. We are using 1432 as reference for these windows. If you could switch to the next page, please. Some photos. This is a map, the location. If you could please switch to the next page. All right, this is a historic photo. It's a 1940 tax photo that shows all three buildings in their original condition. So the two buildings that we're working on were restored substantially. And there were several items that were done by mistake without the prior approvals, and those are all being corrected with the Landmark Commission, and it's being done at staff level. The windows, however, need commission approval, and that's why we're before your community board seeking support for replacing all these windows in these two buildings in 1436 and 1440. If you could go to the next photo, please, the next page. So this was again, a photo showing the buildings that were somewhat deteriorated, and the buildings that we're renovating, unfortunately, had a massive fire. So there was a lot of work that was done that was needed to be done that's, I guess, completed, and some of which is now being corrected. There are some items that still have to be corrected that we're working on. If you go to the next photo, please, the next page. This shows the fire damage. The windows were all destroyed. The interior was heavily damaged structurally, and all the apartments that were there had to be renovated. Could you go to the next photo, please? All right. And this shows the work that was done after High Point, the owners took over and renovated. So there were some things that are still being corrected. There's some minor work on the exterior that has to be repaired. But the windows that are currently installed, we're seeking approval to replace the upper sashes with true divided lights 9/1. And the color of these windows are to match the windows at 1432. As these buildings are three, and these two were intended to match those. Landmarks approved all the windows on 1432, and we're matching that color. So that's why they're white. But there's some other drawings that follow this that show the detail of the windows that we're installing. We're replacing the upper sashes, and we're installing wood brick molds to match. This shows the windows that were installed. It shows the windows in 1432 as reference that we're matching. So the colors are to match, and the sizes are to match. If you can go to the next pages, we'll show you the details. Those are the drawings. So these are the windows. We're closely matching the wood windows that are installed for reference on 1432. There's some sections and details on the next two pages that show the type of window that we're installing. We're matching the sizes. We're matching the wood brick mold. We're matching the profiles of the wood windows that were original to these buildings. The next page shows the plan detail. So this is what we're installing. These are double insulated glass so that they're energy efficient. And this is what we're hoping that you will assist us with finalizing so that we can get this project done. That's our presentation, if you have any questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask, and Deb, forgive me, I might be putting you on the spot, but I don't see Ethel here. What did Crown Heights North have to say about this application?
Okay, yeah, I just called Ethel because she worked on this and she just sent me a letter. She said she was having trouble logging in.
Okay.
And I'm just getting the letter. And I think, and just in summary, we wanted to commend the applicants for the work that they've done on the building. So that was not so much of an issue. When some of the clarifying points, questions that came up, I believe they responded to Ethel Tyus via email.
Mm-hmm.
With all of that said, our position is still that they neglected, and I know in some of their communications they said it was a mistake. They neglected to do what was required by reaching out to LPC in advance of the beginning of their work. And it is unfortunate that they may be bearing the brunt of that, but too often developers come before us with similar stories. It was an oversight, it was a mistake. We didn't know, we didn't realize. And at some point, it's got to stop. I mean, when developers come into our communities and they know it's a landmarked area, they have to be diligent and do what is required before they start the work, and not come before the community board after the fact to ask for forgiveness. So based on that, we are withholding support unless they are willing. I'm trying to look at what she wrote. Unless they're willing to restore as it was. I'm looking at the language in here. To fully restore it to its original form. I'm not seeing that in the letter, but like I said, I just got it because she's having difficulty get on. But the bottom line is that we are withholding support based on failure to secure appropriate approvals from LPC in advance.
Madam Chair, this is Fiora Ortiz
Okay.
Joyner. If I may I add to
Please.
Ms. Young?
Yeah.
In Ms. Tyus's email to the board, it referenced that Mr. Liedman sent proof that LPC did approve the white frame windows, but he did not send it to the entire board, and Ms. Tyus is not here to confirm whether LPC did approve that, because that's part of the reason why China is also holding support, because it is, our historian also agreed that it is very rare, almost a 0% chance that the original windows were white. And I understand that they're trying to match it to the building next to it, but as Ms. Young said, in a landmark historic community, the same rules that apply to owner-occupied home should apply to developers as well. So if we could have that proof, that would
Nope,
be
I'm
very
sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go.
I'm sorry. I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm late. I had to switch from my laptop to my desktop. But
No
this
worries.
is Ethel Tyus and Mr. Liedman, the applicant for 1436, 1444 Pacific Street, did send a letter from 2017 where LPC approved off-white aluminum frame windows with a primary facade. So had Mr. Liedman gone to LPC early on, he could have gotten a similar letter, maybe, who knows? LPC wakes up from time to time and they do their real job. But we are here now, and the letter is still as it was. Crown Heights North Association discussed this ad nauseum, which we wouldn't have had to do had the applicant gone to LPC in the beginning, knowing they were buying a property in a historic district. We are not supporting that, as Ms. Young said, and notwithstanding that we have a copy of a letter on 1432 Pacific approving off-white aluminum windows in the primary facade. That's what that letter says. And a copy was sent to the board office and to the committee chair, Ms. Wedderburn, and to the applicant.
But that's what we're proposing. We're proposing off-white aluminum windows to match those.
Yeah, let 1432 be the sore thumb. And if you truly recognize what a historic district means, then you would do the proper restoration.
We are.
How they
We are
slip
doing
that
the proper
through.
restoration. We're submitting everything to landmarks. The entire building is going to be done and corrected in accordance with landmarks approvals.
Right.
We're before them now, and the windows are the only thing that we're going before the commission for. And that's why we're here. All the other
Windows,
items
I'm sorry,
that were
the
done
windows and the
incorrectly are being
doors. I'm
corrected.
sorry, I don't mean to talk on top of you, but let's be detailed here. It's the windows and the entry doors.
The entry doors are at staff level. They're being replaced.
Yeah. Ms. Tyus, if I may, a point of clarification, if I can. To answer Ms. Tyus directly, we do not dispute most of which she has said, with the rare exception that, as Matt is saying, the door application is going through LPC. We're working with staff level. We anticipate getting staff approval on the entry doors. Our application to you folks is purely for the windows, as Matt's presentation shows. Another point of clarification I think is important for us to relay.
I'm sorry. I'm holding the letter WL 220284, replacement of windows and doors without permit. That is for 1440.
Yes, that's correct.
Windows
We are
and
working
doors.
with.
Just want to keep it, keep the details in here.
I appreciate that very much. We are working with LPC staff and we'll be installing wood doors.
Okay.
So we're coming to you. We're coming to you and the board for the windows.
Thank you.
Okay. Another point of clarification that I think is important to note is that between these two buildings, which most certainly are in a historic district, we had 13 different Department of Buildings applications, each one of which required us to go through landmarks, even in just so to get certificate of no effect letters, which we did. We also did an extensive masonry restoration, as evidenced by the photos in Matt's presentation, which was also gone through landmarks and such. We can most certainly appreciate that on a regular basis, you get developers coming into your community, doing things and either getting caught or not, and then coming and begging for forgiveness. We appreciate that that's what we're doing here. We'd like to think that we distinct ourselves, or we're distinctive insofar as we did many things right. We are telling you what we did do incorrectly, and we are asking for permission to proceed to get us quite close to rectify. And we believe that our presentation with the brick molds, the color, the ornamentation, the 9/1, the profile, et cetera, does do that.
Eli, would it make sense at some point to share the staff level filing with the community board to show them that all the other items that are outlined are in fact being reviewed and approved at the staff level?
Actually, I'm going to say as chair, what we're concerned with is a non-compliance with the windows rather than all the masonry work, which we greatly appreciate. Sarah, you had your hand up?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that the emails that were being discussed are available in the Dropbox folder in case anybody has an easier time processing information with like the words in front of them. Yeah, that's all.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make one last point.
Go ahead.
On this application.
Go ahead.
They were good enough to put the doors in the presentation that they may be showing this evening. The doors are in that presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Just and if I can, just to jump in quickly, just to give some context to the situation. When we purchased this building, the building had been dilapidated and vacant for over 15 years. and there was a fire in the early 2000s. This is across the street from a school. It was, in my opinion, certainly a blight in an unsafe zone. When we purchased this, it had 355 HPD violations, 53 DOB violations, 9 ECB violations, 2 vacate orders, and sat vacant for a decade and a half plus.
Mr.
We
Pocket,
came
we
in.
certainly appreciate all of that, but as you know, we are focused on the non-compliance with the windows.
I understand, but if I can.
No,
Clear,
because you've
we
said your
cleared
piece.
100.
You've said your piece. I'd like to get some input from my committee.
Okay,
Peter
if I can, with one more item related to the
Let's
windows.
let our committee speak, and then you may have an opportunity to speak a little bit later. Mr. Crashers?
Yeah, thank you. I actually think the applicant has put a lot of work into the building, and it's not easy inside of a landmark district to conform, and so they should be thanked for that, I think.
I agree.
I want to just I guess this is a question because I'm looking at the windows, and they fit in terms of the design, what the Landmarks Commission approved in, I guess, 2017 or delineated. So I guess my question is the proposal, I guess, from Ms. Tyus to take out these windows and put in other ones that are a different color? I'm not clear what if an action here is not to just acknowledge that a mistake was made, and which it certainly was, and then where is the what's if we take the action of withholding with support? I mean, what is the outcome there? What is the outcome for? And it's actually, I think, more for committee members and not rather than for the applicant to talk this through. So. Because I guess really the other part of that question is, what is the cost of this action for the community?
Ethel, do you have a comment?
I do. And Peter, if we don't speak up, LPC will continue to do things like 959 Sterling Place and 859 St. Mark's Avenue. Okay, LPC has these certificate of appropriateness hearings going before commissioners on the panel, where that commissioner's firm is part of the project. Okay, so what Crown Heights North has done here is to speak to that type of issue. And what we're asking this applicant to do is to recognize when you buy in a historic district, you get the benefit of the appreciation that comes with your building being in a historic district, which tends to be about 20%, 25% more than the surrounding properties. And you also get the burdens of having to comply with the requirements of LPC. And LPC seems to be dithering. If they're saying it's okay for 1432 to have off-white aluminum windows on the primary facade, Crown Heights North Association has chosen to take a position on that, which will reach to LPC and ask them to do their job. Do their job.
Thank you, Ethel. Mark, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Is this the developers? Is this your first time working in a landmark district?
We have worked in historic districts before, and one of the items that there's a 40-foot rule that exists, and that 40-foot rule is where we made the mistake. If you have more than 40 feet of frontage, our windows would have been permitted. We replaced them in kind. I think you can see we did our best to match contextually with our neighbor. They're the same 9/1, but because we fall under 40 feet or 7 feet short, these buildings are each 33 feet of frontage, and it had to be wood and not aluminum, which is where we made our mistake. And that mistake was not made out of ill intent, but just out of a mistake.
Madam Chair, can you secure a citation that he's referring to? 40-foot rule out in the cloud somewhere? Where is that citation to? What is that to? Please.
You're asking that of me, Ethel, or of the applicant?
Asking you to get that from them, because right now it's just in the ether.
Will you be able to provide?
My question is this for a landmark area for a historic district? I mean, if you're familiar with the process, my question is, why didn't you do the process? Why didn't you just apply for it since you're already familiar with it?
Mr. Thurton, your point is well taken. To my previous answer, the extent of the work and the scope of this project was and is immense as it relates to not only the landmarks district, but as well as HPD, DOB, DEC, Con Edison, and a host of others. We did not, to be clear, we did not simply ignore landmarks. We do have a full landmarks process. We do have landmarks permits. That is all for the masonry restoration, which we did. We did not, however, do everything and follow the exact procedure. And that was our oversight, not by ill intent, just by the nature of missing exactly what it was.
So Eli, you jumped. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Eli. You sort of jumped in front of one of our board members. Fiora, your hand is up.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to address a comment that Mr. Popkins had said. We are not taken away from the fact that it's definitely 100% better than what was there, but that doesn't take away from the fact that you did not follow the process, and that makes us feel as we should be grateful and take whatever we have as opposed because you did such a great job. And the fact is that homeowners in this neighborhood have to follow those rules, and you should follow them as well. And it may have been an oversight, but the fact that you've had done work previously in a historic district, you should have, I think that it shouldn't happen, and you should have followed the process. That's
Agreed.
Sense. Thank you, Nick.
We agree.
Nix.
Yeah, hey, it's actually Jack. We're sharing a
Sorry.
No, you couldn't have possibly known. Just on a more practical point, I wonder with the double pane windows, how much more development and construction is going to be going on around there, because it's noisy, and maybe, even for energy efficiency, triple pane windows would be nicer. I don't know if that has anything to do with the historic value of it, but it's just a question.
That question would be for the applicants.
The windows themselves are double insulated, and they have thermal values that meet the energy code, and that's one of the reasons they were being replaced and they were missing. The idea of how much more work there is the apartments are actually completed. There's just some corrective work on the exterior. The upper sashes are intended to be replaced on these windows, which is what we're seeking approval for. So that's
okay.
That's where we are.
Thank you. Jack, do you have any other questions?
Is the color of the windows, is it all a problem? Is just painting the windows of the sills of an option? Is that a doable thing? Or I'm not so much on the landmark side of these land use discussions, so I'm just curious if there's not a simple answer.
Yeah, these windows are factory painted. They're shop painted. They're not something that you do in the field. They're aluminum. If you paint it, they're not going to hold up well on the exterior. I guess the finish is something that's was appropriate on the 1432 building. So we're matching that again, because these are three buildings that are very similar. And to have two of the buildings different colored windows, well, we don't think that would be appropriate either.
Thank you. Karen Gray, your hand is up.
Yes, hi, good night, everyone. I'm just reading here on chapter 2 of the windows and the landmark preservation. And it says for large buildings classified by LPC as 7 or more stories or with street frontage of more than 40 feet, replacement windows may be made of other alternative materials. So I think we need to clarify with LPC what's the alternative material that they're talking about. Because it's not very clear here, because it's saying materials. New windows must generally match historic windows. Exceptions are allowed based on the size of the building and window type.
So Karen, I believe that the applicant themselves realized that they did not qualify for that 40-foot rule. Thank you for the information, though. Helpful that someone has that at the ready. Thank you. Sarah?
Yeah, this isn't directly related to the windows, but I am curious. I noticed, I looked at these buildings, and it looks like from the age of the building and the number of units, it looks like all three of these buildings should have been rent stabilized at some point. And I'm wondering if they continue to be rent stabilized. Will they be rent stabilized after the renovations are finished? That's something that would make me feel more excited about, moving these forward more quickly, I suppose, if I knew that they were going to continue to be rent stabilized. And because I know that in this neighborhood, substantial rehabilitation is one of the few loopholes for getting out of rent stabilization that's still available to landlords. I realized that these buildings were bought just in 2020. So if they were destabilized before, you probably weren't responsible for that. But I think it's something that the community would be interested in.
These buildings will have 16 market rate apartments.
Karen, is your hand up again, or you didn't lower your hand?
Can we vote?
I was about to say, I wanted to make sure that all of our committee members who had questions asked questions. I would entertain a motion from the floor regarding this issue.
Madam Chair, I move that the committee withhold support.
Second.
Okay, so
Who was the
Ethel
second, please? I'm sorry, who was the second?
Ms. Granville.
Thank you.
Kathy, will you do the roll call, please?
Kathy, you're muted.
Thank you. The motion is that the committee withholds support for the replacement of the windows as they are described by the applicant. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. And can I just check? I think Nora Daniel joined us. Nora, is that you?
Yes, it's me.
Thank you. And somebody else did, but I marked them down. Thank you very much. Pierre, and so if you vote yes, you vote yes in favor of withholding support. Pierre Albert, Albert Appleton, Lisa Atkinson,
Yes.
Princess Ben James, Robert Callahan,
Abstain.
Janet Collins, Nora Daniel,
Yes.
Johnny Granville,
Yes.
Kathy Island, no, Jennifer Jordan, Jennifer Jordan, Zarima Jordan,
Yes.
Peter Crashus,
No.
Nicole Lamel,
No.
Francis Langley,
Yes.
Sarah Lazur,
Yes.
Miro Lemaine, Quasi Mensa,
Yes.
Fiora Ortiz Joyner,
Yes.
Robert Puka, Jack Robinson,
No.
Kim Robinson,
No.
Celine Rosado, Adam Sachs, Greg Todd, Ethel Tias,
No, I'm sorry, yes. Yes, excuse me.
Ip Viconi, Ursa Weatherspoon, Sharon Wedderburn,
Yes.
Elaine Weinstein,
No.
Deborah Young.
Yes.
Just give me a minute, please.
Keep in mind that those two buildings, if they're brown with black window frames, they're in the majority. The one with the off-white window frames will be in the minority. So that building will be the sore thumb.
We have 11 yes in favor of the motion, 6 no opposed to the motion, and 1 abstain, and the motion carries.
Thank you for that. Okay, so up for consideration is application number 2, 280 Sterling Place. Would the applicant like to begin their presentation, please?
The primary member of our team just stepped away for a second. He should be back shortly.
Okay. Can you make an introduction in their absence? Oh, they've come back. All right, so we're at application number 2, 280 Sterling Place. I understand you're a key member of the team, so let's begin. You're on mute.
Apologies. Thank you for letting us present to you today. My name is Jeff Sherman. I'm from Delson or Sherman Architects. We are the architects for 280 Sterling Place. Though I should also add that I'm a resident in the neighborhood. I can share my screen to show you the project. This is the existing house, the front facade and the rear facade. It's a single family house, and we are proposing a renovation of the lower 2 floors and the cellar. And on the rear facade, there is a small rear extension that you see here on the lower right. We'll be removing that and replacing it with a full width rear extension, also a single story. Let me show you what that will look like. On the front facade, we're just replacing windows on those lower floors with historically appropriate windows. The rear facade, I believe, is what Landmarks has asked us to come and present to you for your approval. This is the rear extension on the lower basement level. There's a deck on the top of it and a wide run of windows on the face of it, and a stair that leads down to the garden. The bay window is existing, but we are putting a door into it in place of one of the windows. The new extension is black metal panels with a black metal railing. And these windows will open fully to create one large opening. And the existing bay is also a metal clad bay, which will also be painted black to match. And I can show you a plan to give you a sense. Oh, here, actually, this section is very helpful. So that's the existing extension shown there. And this is our extension shown here. We're maintaining a little bit more than the 30-foot setback that's required by code. There's the historic photo that shows you the style of windows that will be matching. Some photos of the existing property and the neighbors, and details showing the brick molds for the window replacement. And oh, I just wanted to show you a plan so you can have a comparison of our extension and this actually shows it pretty well. This is the current extension of the neighbor's property, which you can see projects out beyond where our extension will sit. And that's essentially the project. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Is there anyone present from PHNDC? Mr. Sherman, did you have a conversation with PHNDC, Prospect Heights Neighborhood Development Council?
We submitted to them at the same time that we submitted to you.
Simple question: if any neighbors are here, because just to follow up on Ethel's notice question. I don't know if we've asked the attending people if there are any neighbors here.
I'm Patricia Glynn. I'm a next door neighbor.
Hi, Ms. Glenn. Would you care to share your thoughts about this project with the committee?
Well, it seems to me it is being well done. The notices are much harder to, I did not get a letter in the mail or anything like that, and I never saw the thing posted on my house. I asked the tenant upstairs. He said he thought he saw it when he left one day, and when he came back, it wasn't there. I mean, I think the information is, I think communication is really, a very important part of this process. I've been in this house a long time, and communication is really, really important as we change, as our neighborhoods change.
Thank you, Patricia.
May I say something directly to that? I would be happy to share all of my contact information with you, Patricia, and give you my business card. And if there are any issues during this project that you have any concerns, I'd be happy to address them for you. And I apologize if that notice was removed.
I would appreciate that. Thank you, Jeff.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Sherman, can you share that with the board office, and the board office will distribute it to today's attendees?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So, given that you're not calendared, and we have not received a formal letter from PHNDC, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come. And I don't know, do you anticipate being calendared shortly?
Yes, we think any day now we'll have a position on the docket.
Okay, because as you know, this committee meets the first Thursday of the month. So you're anticipating being calendared for the June meetings, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so then I would ask that you return to next month's meeting, which is the first Thursday of the month, and then we'll render an opinion then.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we've had our 2 items. And I don't even think
Madam
that
Chair, there's some hands that are raised.
I'm going for it. I just wanted to make sure we close that down. And I see the hands. Okay, so we have, and I'm just going to do it in the order that I see it. Kathy, Peter, and Sarah.
I think Sarah
Thank you,
preceded
Chair.
me.
Chair Wedderburn, is there any reason we can't vote on this evening?
Yeah.
And it's a provisional vote, given the LPC date and the letter from PHNDC, given that Ms. Shuford, represented that PHNDC will likely have no objections to this, so that next month we don't have to revisit this again?
It's a matter of protocol, because we generally like to have the formal written communication in place. China has responded to its issues with the previous application, and we just want to make sure that our approval is taken whole cloth.
But could we do it as a provisional vote pending the
No,
documents?
we're going to elect not to do that, because if we don't have the documents to review, then why are we putting it forth?
I will let somebody else have a say.
Okay. Sarah?
Yeah, I guess this is another question about the aesthetic choices in the backyard. I noticed that the railing appears to be a pretty modern style, like horizontal bars going around. And some other people who do renovations in this area, for railings, they choose to do like vertical bars in a style that looks more similar to the turn of the century aesthetic, you know, like the types of, ironwork, et cetera, that was done when the buildings were originally built. I don't know if you had some thoughts about why you made that choice rather than doing something that looked more similar to the aesthetics, the original aesthetics of the back.
I could tell you our thought process, which was about emphasizing the horizontality of that railing, and stretching the eye horizontal. It also allowed us to put to hide lights in the railing, which would downlight onto the stair and onto the edge of the deck. So it sort of served double functions for us. But we can certainly take your suggestion under advisement and ask the owners if they'd reconsider.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, learning a lot about historic preservation. I know that sometimes it can look a little goofy to try to imitate exactly, the aesthetic of a particular period in the past, but it was just a thought. Yeah.
I'm the one that's not muted. That's on mute. Thank you, Sarah. Peter?
Actually, I just wanted to, and I appreciate Sarah's question, and acknowledge that the applicants suggested they might take it under her question under advisement. I don't personally have any issue with the railing. I wondered actually if the PHNDC knew the date of this and what didn't have the letter ready, but has said, we're capable of looking at this application. It seems we've heard from a neighbor saying that it looks well done. It looks well done to me. It seems to be doing less than we have historically, the committee has approved in the past. And so in terms of the scale of the extension, and I think that we always should be anticipating that we have a good number of things that we have to review in a given meeting, and we've had 3.5-hour meetings. We've had a presentation. If we postpone this, we're going to have this presentation again next month, I would assume. I would prefer to have the vote now. I think that I haven't heard any issues raised other than Sarah's that she just raised. And so I'm just expressing my preference, Sharon, and I think we probably could, as a committee, have a motion, could we not?
Thank you, Peter, for that. But as you know, we we often make our votes based upon completeness. Much often, you know that we defer to the local community groups, you know, and the recommendations. I hear what Ms. Shuford had to say. I'd rather have something in writing. And PHNDC is aware, just as we are aware, it was not currently calendared. So it's informational.
Two things. I had not realized that you were expecting our letter before this meeting, although we have only had this for about a week.
Right.
But in the past, I think sometimes we've come to our opinions, in my recollection, kind of simultaneously, and that we have not always had a written opinion prior to the CB8 land use meeting.
Thank you. And I think, Mary, that's reflective of the fact that it was not calendared. Thank you. So, you know, this is, you know, we're going in and we're going to give them a preview. And then we know that when they're calendared, they're definitely going to take a vote because that requires action and activity from our board office. So again, it's better to have a complete portfolio than an incomplete portfolio. Elaine?
Okay. Thank you. I just have a quick follow-up. Is the inability to do a provisional vote, is that part of the bylaws or simply past practice?
So oftentimes in absence of a specific bylaw line, because that's something that's not covered in our bylaws, it is our practice. And we can enshrine practice in future bylaw revisions should the chair decide to do that.
I just, as a quick follow-up, I thought it wasn't in the bylaws. And as a result, I thought, well, we could break with practice, move ourselves forward a little more swiftly, and perhaps our next meeting will be shorter. Just a thought, okay, for you to consider. Thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, it's something that we consider. And we're only an hour and 5 minutes out, considering we had a 15-minute delay in our start. So we're actually good.
Okay.
All right. So seeing no other hands.
Well, you're not seeing my hand.
Whose hand is this?
My hand was up
Deborah
before.
Young too.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, Deb, Lisa,
No
and
problem.
so wait, Deb,
Go ahead,
and then Lisa.
Lisa, you could go first. Yours might have been up before mine.
Yeah, it was. It was up from before, like when Elaine said. It's really quick. I appreciate that everybody wants to move the meetings faster and things like that, but I also think we should follow protocol. We should not change things in the middle of a meeting. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for what Jeff put up. I just think we should follow the protocols. This is a short meeting. Changing things in the middle makes us look unorganized, and speaking in front of, like, you know how when you're speaking house business, you speak house business amongst people, and then it looks a little unprofessional. So I honestly think that we should just leave it as it is, and then maybe we can talk to the board and then see if we want to change the bylaw. But to do that in the middle of the meeting just doesn't seem right, and I just think we should follow protocol. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Deb?
Okay. I could be mistaken, but I'm not clear on Prospect Heights having previously submitted a letter in support or in opposition to any of the applicants that's come before us. So my recommendation is that if that is something that we are going to require, then I think that needs to be established. I know Crown Heights we have, but I just don't ever remember that being done by Prospect Heights in the same forward. That is not to argue against the position you're taking, Chairman Weatherburn. I'm just saying that if that's what we're going to establish, it should be established going forward. Not to change your decision, but just to make it clear what the expectation is so that we can all be on the same page and be consistent.
I thank you, Deb. I really appreciate especially the thoughts about consistency. But in the past, my recollection is such that we've had letters when we make decisions.
Yeah, yes.
That's my recollection.
Okay.
Thank you, Deb. I hear a voice, but I don't. So did any of you not lower your hands? Kathy, Deb, Ethel?
My hand is up again. I'll take it down now. I
right.
neglected to get from Pacific Street applicant their LPC date.
They don't have one.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Deb, your hand is up still, or you have another question?
I don't know how to lower it. I'm sorry. Oh, there. Did I lower it?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Okay.
Chair
Kathy?
Wedderburn, my hand is, yes, thank you very much. I would just like to respond to what Lisa said. I was not suggesting a provisional vote because I wanted a quick meeting. I was suggesting a provisional vote because we have all the information we need to vote. And I just would like that to be clear. I've sat along with all of you in 3.5-hour meetings. I'm not looking to get out of my seat, but we have all the information. That was my point. Thank you very much.
Okay. Peter?
Yeah, and I probably would, if there were chat, I would, I wouldn't have to keep raising my hand up and down. I think just to build on what Kathy just said, I think, I also don't really think we're sure that the shift here or the change is the proposal to vote now and wait for, or rather to wait for a PhD letter. I recognize, so I think that's not really clear. And it would be useful also to, I guess we have to go look at the specific recommendation for PHNDC to weigh in and see.
It's not just PHNDC, Peter. You know, we ask the same thing. We look at the organizations that are within our historic districts. We ask the same thing of Crown Heights North. We ask the same thing of China. It's not just PHNDC.
So was the applicant told that they would not be, there wouldn't be a vote?
They are not calendared. This is a provisional, what we would call in my line of work, a looky look. Here is a preview of what we're doing.
But I'm just thinking about this from the point of view of the applicant and their
Peter,
time.
I appreciate your thoughtfulness in all of this. I really do. But we're going to do exactly what you said.
May I finish my point? May I finish my point?
I'm listening.
Okay. When the applicant, if the applicant is told that they're to attend this meeting with the PHNDC letter in hand, then I would understand that we would wait. But if the applicant hasn't been told that, and PHNDC has missed their deadline of the vote, or they knew it was on the agenda and didn't deliver a letter, and in fact, the representative of PHNDC has on this call said, in her recollection, they have not always provided a letter, then in my mind, I think it's reasonable for us to take a vote. This is a response to Ms. Atkins' very reasonable observation that we shouldn't change our protocols. My suggestion is that we're actually changing the protocols potentially. We are potentially changing the protocols or establishing a new protocol right now by not voting.
We are not. We are not. The applicant has agreed to appear again. It is not calendared. So we are not breaking protocol. All right. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So
Motion
moved.
to adjourn.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.